What's up, everybody? Kyle here at Let's Talk Wax with another episode of Predicting Superstars. And this is a series that I do where I take all of the career stats of some of today's top superstars and I compare them against the career stats of some of the top prospects in minor league baseball. Now, this episode was requested by Josh over at Rays Colored Glasses. They run a really great Tampa Bay Rays baseball site over there, and I've actually used that site for some of my information before I even met Josh. So this is a series dedicated to the Tampa Bay Rays and 5 of the top prospects in their organization. And for those of you familiar with the series, we have a new all-time high score with one of these 5 prospects. So here are the 5 prospects that I chose out of the Tampa Bay Rays system to run through the Predicting Superstars formula. Carlos Colmenarez, Xavier Edwards, Carson Williams, Curtis Mead, and Kyle Manzardo. Now, for those of you who are new to the series, this is the data that I compiled from the MLB Superstars. I used Mike Trout, Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis Jr., Ronald Acuna Jr., Mookie Betts, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Rafael Devers, Nolan Arenado, Freddie Freeman, Bryce Harper, Yordan Alvarez, Jose Ramirez, and Manny Machado as my samples. And I took all of their career batting averages, ISOs, K percentage, K to walk ratios, OPSs, stolen bases per plate appearance, and what age they were per level. Now, I created some multipliers, and you're going to see those in the slides, to give each prospect a score and how it relates to each superstar's average. And you can see the average of all the superstars on the bottom. Now, here's how I use these stats. You can see the career superstars averages are in the green bar, and Carlos Colmenarez's career averages are on the white bar. I ran them through some multipliers to get differentials down here at the bottom in the purple bar. Now, in this series, there are a lot of negative scores. That's not necessarily bad. It just shows how far away the prospect stats were from the MLB Superstar stats. Now, any score over 0, any score in the positive, shows how far above each prospect score was compared to the MLB Superstars. All right, so we're going to kick off this episode with the youngest player of the group, Carlos Colmenarez, who was 18.8 in the Complex League this year, and he is a shortstop. Now, Colmenarez was one of the top international prospects in 2021, and the Rays signed him for $3 million. He had a pretty solid year in 2022 this year. He hit .254 with a 127 ISO, pretty solid K numbers, a 760 OPS, and had 1 home run and 13 stolen bases. Now, some things I like about Colmenarez here are his age and the fact that he did increase his ISO by about 40 points this year and his OPS by about 70. So he had a pretty solid season compared to his career numbers. Now, if you look below, you can see that Colmenarez came in the negative in every offensive category but stolen bases per plate appearance. He has fringe speed on the bases, and he could grow into a power speed prospect depending on how much he can increase his ISO as he develops physically. Now, almost every prospect on this show loses points in K percentage, K to walk ratio, and age level. But Colmenarez had really good damage control in his age per level because he was only 18.8 and he was in the Complex League. Now, he took some pretty big dings with his K numbers, with his ISO, and with his batting average, and he really took a big ding with OPS, and it brought his final score to a negative 40.1. Next, we're going to take a look at Xavier Edwards. He was 23.1 this year, played the season in AAA. He's kind of a utility infielder with the Tampa Bay Rays system, and he's one of the better contact on-base percentage hitters in minor league baseball. So he's also put together 3 consecutive years prior to 2022 where he's had a batting average over 300. Now, Edwards' numbers are a bit down in 2022 compared to his career stats. He's only hitting .265 so far this year with a 105 ISO, a 16.1 K percentage, a 1.51 K to walk ratio, and a 765 OPS. Now, when we look at the career numbers of Edwards, his career average is 310. His ISO is a bit lower than what he did in 2022 at 76. His K numbers are a tad better at 12.1 and 1.16. So he didn't have an amazing season, but he's also playing at the top level in minor league baseball. Now, he gained points. He gained 1 point in career batting average. He gained points in career K percentage and career K to walk ratio because, Xavier Edwards is one of the better contact hitters, and he's got some of the better K numbers in all of minor league baseball. Where he took dings, of course, is the ISO. Edwards is not a power hitter. He's a guy who gets on base, has quality at-bats, and he's not looking to hit for power, even though he hit a career-high 5 home runs so far in 2022. He took a pretty big ding in OPS and also in age per level. His total score comes to a negative 22.5. Next on this list is the Tampa Bay Rays' #1 pick from 2021, Carson Williams. Much like Colmenarez, Williams is young. He's a bit young for A-ball. He is also a shortstop in the Tampa Bay Rays organization. Now, Carson Williams has quite a bit of juice for a young kid, but one of the things I don't like about him are his K numbers as a young player. I hope he can improve on these throughout the course of his career, but right now they are a little rough. In the 2022 season, he's hitting .255 with a .215 ISO, which is really good and helps me to excuse the K numbers that he put up so far, but anything over a 200 ISO for a kid under 21 years old shows he's going to grow into some serious power. And Carson Williams is a 6'3", 19-year-old, so he's got a really projectable frame. Now, the K numbers in 2022 were 32.1 K rate with a 3.09 K to walk ratio. But he's got 16 home runs and 24 stolen bases. So like I said, he's a really good player. It's just a guy like me who really puts a lot of stock in K numbers. It kind of scares me just a bit. So if he can lower those maybe next year, he didn't really do a good job of lowering them so far in 2022, because you can see his career K numbers are about 32.5 and his K to walk ratio is around 3.10. But like I said, he's a speed power look right now, 6'3", projectable body, and if he can clean up the K numbers, he could be a really solid player down the road. Now, where did he take his dings? Of course, he took them in K percentage, K to walk ratio. He took a 50-point loss in batting average, but obviously that plus 200 ISO boosted his score above the superstars, because a lot of the superstars, when we think about the guys we're comparing him to, they had pretty low ISOs because they were so young playing at the upper levels. A lot of them were 19 playing in AA, and power is usually the last thing to come with most prospects. So anybody who has a higher ISO on this Predicting Superstar series is going to probably gain points. Now, he lost a couple points in age level. Like I said, he's pretty age appropriate, but the superstars, like Mike Trout was 19 when he played in the MLB. So, it's kind of hard to gain points in that category. The guys on this show are trying to just do damage control in the age level. So his total score was a negative 22.1, one of the better scores in this episode today. And like I said, he's a guy to watch that could pan out to be a pretty big speed power prospect who plays a premium position. Fourth guy we're taking a look on this episode at is Curtis Mead. He's one of my favorite bats in all of minor league baseball. And the thing that draws me to Curtis Mead is his consistency. Throughout the course of his career, he's put up really good numbers, and you can go over there and look on the career career stat line to the left and see just how good his career numbers have been. He's played like 4 or 5 minor league seasons, and he's just been solid in every single one. I compare him a lot to Miguel Vargas with the LA Dodgers, but Mead is 21.8, playing in AAA right now, first base / third base, but I don't think the third base is going to stick. I think he's going to end up getting his reps at probably DH or first base, because I don't think there's much premium defense being played at the hot corner by Curtis Mead. This season so far, he's hitting .299 with a .237 ISO, and that's really good. If you watch a lot of my content, I talk about guys like this all the time who hit close to 300 with a 200 plus ISO. Those guys are few and far between. They're the power and average hitters, and these are guys that usually wind up being pretty good bats at the MLB level. The second thing that I love about Curtis Mead are his K numbers, and not just in 2022, but throughout his career. Mead's never had a 20% or higher K percentage in his career. His K to walk ratio is 1.63, and his K to walk ratio for his career is 1.84. So those are both sub 2. And that's what I look for in K to walk, is anything sub 2 I really like. And as far as K percentage goes, anything sub 20 really attracts me to prospects. Now he's having a big year for OPS. He's got a 927 on base plus slugging, and that's quite a bit higher than his 894 career. He's got 13 home runs and 7 stolen bases. Now, I don't think his speed is going to translate to the big league level, but, he did steal a couple bases throughout the season in 2022. Now, Mead took 3-point loss in batting average. He gained 66 points in ISO. He only lost 1 point in K percentage and 14 points in K to walk ratio. And it's really hard to beat the Superstars numbers, the K numbers that they put up throughout their careers. Almost every guy that I run through the Predicting Superstars series takes a loss in K percentage, K to walk ratio, and age level. And Curtis Mead did really good damage control in those 3 categories. He only lost 1 point in K percentage, 14 in K to walk, and 48 in age level. Now, he gained points for his career OPS, but he did lose a few points on his stolen bases per plate appearance because, like I said, he's probably going to end up being a first base or a DH. His overall score after I ran him through the system was a positive .8, which landed him in the all-time top 15, and he's actually surprisingly not the highest score on this list. All right, so I've got to be honest with you guys. When I sat down to do this Tampa Bay Rays special for Josh, I was most excited about seeing how Curtis Mead would score because, like I told you before, he's one of my favorite minor league hitters, and I really thought he was going to do a lot of damage after I ran him through the formula. Well, I ran him through the formula, and he scored above 0, which I anticipated, but then I ran this guy named Kyle Manzardo through my formula, and he was a guy that came out of the 2021 draft, and he didn't get a lot of stock on that 2021 draft release, but he is having an insane year, and when I say insane, I mean like crazy stats. Now, he did spend the majority of the season in high A, and he was a bit old for that level, which may have padded his stats a bit, because Mead has a large sample size through double A, but Manzardo was drafted last year, so we had a really small sample size in 2021 and a very small sample size so far this year in 2022, but he's been promoted to double A, and he's just absolutely raking in double A too. So Manzardo's having a huge season, but one thing to consider before you go crazy is that his sample size is rather small compared to some of the guys we've run through this system. So he's 22.1 playing in double A with he's a first baseman, obviously with the Tampa Bay Rays. The Tampa Bay Rays colored glasses special. But in his 2022 season, he's hitting .337 with a .297 ISO. And those are just numbers. Those are almost like Elly De La Cruz numbers. Of course, he's not the athlete Elly De La Cruz is, but those are average and ISO-wise. Those are pretty freakish numbers. But let's look at Manzardo's K numbers. Now, I did compare his average and ISO to Elly De La Cruz, but De La Cruz's K numbers are nowhere near what Kyle Manzardo's are, and his are elite. His K percentage so far in 2022 is 16.4, and his K to walk ratio is 1.10. Those are just really good K numbers for a dude who's got a .297 ISO and a .337 batting average. Now, he's the only guy on this episode who has an OPS above 900 at 1.071, and he's got 19 home runs, and of course he's got 0 stolen bases because he is strictly a first baseman / DH type player. Now, as I mentioned before, Manzardo's got a really small sample size, and he only played a handful of games in 2021, so his 2022 stats are pretty parallel to his career stats. But among all minor league players, this is where Kyle Manzardo ranks in certain categories. WRC+, he's 4th in all of minor league baseball. ISO, 6th in all of minor league baseball. OPS, 4th, slugging 5th, and he's one of only 2 players in the minor leagues with a 300 plus ISO and a sub 20 K percentage. So those stats are really extraordinary, and Manzardo right now is a pretty cheap buy-in. The last time I looked, I think his autos were selling for around $50 or $60, and they're coming out of 2021 draft. So we look down at the formula. Manzardo got 30 points on batting average. He got 145 points on ISO because, like I said, the Superstars ISOs didn't really tend to grow until they got into the major leagues. They were all playing at really high levels at really young ages, and power was usually the last thing to come. He lost only 1 point in K percentage and only 23 points in K to walk ratio. He gained 189 points on OPS. Lost a couple points in stolen bases because, like I said, he's probably a DH or first base. That's going to be his ceiling, first base defensively. And he lost 58 points on age level. And his total score came to a 26.3 to the positive, making him the all-time leader on the Predicting Superstars series. All right, so a quick recap for you guys. We've obviously got Kyle Manzardo's score of 26.3 in the number 1 spot. Curtis Mead going just above 0 for the number 2 spot. Carson Williams took a negative 22.1. Xavier Edwards was close to Williams with a negative 22.5. And Carlos Colmenarez came in with a negative 40.1. And that brings us to my favorite part of this series, the all-time top 15. And this is our 3rd episode of Predicting Superstars. So after this, guys will start to get weeded out off of this top 15 list. Now, I already told you that Kyle Manzardo set the new all-time high score of 26.3, which was previously held by Corbin Carroll, who had a 22.5 on August 6th. Now, one thing to consider with the all-time top 15 is the date. So these scores can change if a player hits a hot streak. You know, he could get some more points. If he struggles, he could, lower those points. So I put a date on every player's score to show when it occurred. Now, our all-time top 5, like I said, is Kyle Manzardo at 1, Corbin Carroll at 2, Jordan Lawler with a 14.1, Adiel Amador with a 3.4 on July 14th, and Anthony Volpe. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this episode of Predicting Superstars. If you want to check out some of my exclusive content, head over to my Patreon page. I'll put a link to it in the description. Over there, you get early access to all of my video info for the videos I do on YouTube. I have a Discord server with over 125 members, Bowman Chrome autograph checklist breakdowns of all releases from 2019 to 2022. And I put all their career stats. I give them a write-up. I give them a rank. I put comps on there. And the cool thing is that I track their ranks, every year or every update to see where they landed before, and I can kind of see where their ranks are now. So something really cool to check out. I got a top 100 Bowman Chrome Autos under $50 list and a top 100 Bowman Chrome Autos list. I give away things monthly, and there's option for video sponsorship or video shout-outs. And a huge shout-out to Break Grading, who sent me a bunch of cards to give away to you guys. They have a grading website that I'll put a link to in the description, and I'm giving away a BRG9 Kyle Manzardo Sparkle Refractor. But if you want to jump in this one, it's going to end tomorrow, so head over to my Facebook group, my Twitter account, or Instagram account at Let's Talk Wax, and jump in the referral giveaway for this Manzardo. Now, if you don't get there in time of giving away cards, a special thanks to all of my level 3 patrons: Tom Barta, Max, Brad, Gary D. Childers Jr., Just Dinger's Breaks, 909 Sports Cards on Instagram, Kenny Winkles, and Anthony Law Group. And a final shout out to everyone who supports me on Patreon, everyone who supports me on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for subscribing and liking the video. If you want to check out some other videos like this, head over to my channel. I've got tons of stuff with prospects going on, Bowman Chrome, Topps cards. Head over and check it out. Y'all have a great day.